Hi, you guys. Hang on a second. Gotta get Cindy on here. All right, good. Good, awesome. Hi, Cindy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good, now I can hear you too. That's awesome. So thank you for being patient with us. We had two meetings running simultaneously, so we needed to finish up one and get here. So I'm excited to have you all here. We're going to go live in just a second talking about the G Center. Cindy, do we need anything from me? Are we good?
We are good. I'm watching Facebook. I'm seeing when we go live.
All right, good.
What do we have?
All right, so hang on.
Hi, Chris. Chris says, hey.
Hi, Chris. Oops, hold on, push the wrong button. Da, da, da. There's so many options to go live now. It's like, wait, you can go live everywhere. So, all right. Okay, I think we're good to go, Cindy. Hang on a sec.
Haven't seen the notification yet. Might take just a minute.
It's still loading.
You're live.
Yay, all right, good. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Hang on a second. Are we still good here, Cindy? Are all of our parts working? If I could see you, you could give me a thumbs up.
All our parts are working.
Awesome, cool. Well, good. I am Karen Curry Parker. I am excited to be here today to talk to you before we get rolling and deep into our conversation about the heart of who we are and the G Center. I want to just give you the lay of the land. If you are watching on Facebook, you can post your comments down below. And if you have any questions, you can post them down below. And we'll do our best as we go through the material, particularly as we get to the end, to make sure you get your questions answered. Or if you've got a big booming question that comes up and Cindy, who is moderating this, reads your question and says, yeah, we should do that one now, we'll read your question and we'll get your question answered. If you are watching live on Zoom, and some of you have that option, or some of you are already doing, and I think the Zoom link is down below as well. If you want to join us live in the Zoom room, you can call in and be with us live. If you're watching on Zoom, you'll see there's an orange button that says chat. If you put your questions in the chat, we are watching the chat to see if you have questions too, so that we can make sure that this isn't just me talking, but an interactive event where you will get an opportunity to get your questions answered. You will get the most out of this presentation if you have your human design chart. If you don't have a human design chart, or you've never heard of human design before, please visit our website, understandinghumandesign.com. Just follow the instructions on the top right-hand side of the page, and you can get a free copy of your chart. We'll calculate it for you, and we'll send it to you with a free report so you can start understanding a little bit more about your unique blueprint and getting to the heart of who you truly are. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and get started because I have a lot to cover, and my goal is to get it done within the next 40 minutes. Let's see if I can do that. Cindy, don't laugh. And I'm going to go through some slides and really give you some visuals to go with it, because I know that some of you learn better with visuals, and it's way easier than me describing the geometrics of the chart. So human design is a part of the quantum alignment system, which is an integrated coaching practice that allows you, or helps you and supports you in deconditioning your mind and your body, so that when you create consciously and deliberately in your life, you are creating from the pure essence of who you truly are. We use integrated coaching techniques, including energy psychology techniques such as EFT. We use subtle body therapies, and we use human design to give you the story, the words, the vocabulary, the power of the story of who you truly are. And my goal, my intention for you today is to give you a part of that story so that when you leave this presentation today, you have a deeper understanding of aspects of who you really are and how you really operate. I'm going to be talking today from a couple of different schools of thought. When I teach human design, I've been teaching human design for more than 18 years now. I have been an ardent student of human design for more than 18 years now, and I love traditional human design, and I also teach a more modern expression of human design, we'll call it that, a more modern expression, evolved expression of human design too. So we're going to talk today about traditional human design and traditional human design teachings. And we're also going to talk today about looking at quantum human design, how you can expand your understanding of your human design to support you in being able to deliberately and consciously work with the power of the quantum field to bring into your life experience the things you really want to be experiencing. I'm going to be talking about one of the 9 energy centers in the human design chart. So some of what I'm going to talk about for some of you might be super basic, so forgive me as I go through the basics, but I don't want to lose anybody in this journey or this adventure that we're on today. In the human design chart, and by the way, human design is a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, Kabbalah, and quantum physics. When you weave all of those esoteric sciences and modern science together, you get a chart that looks kind of like this chart on the screen. This chart is basically a blueprint for how you're hardwired, or it's the mechanics of how your energy works. When you look at the chart, you'll see there are 9 geometric shapes. Those geometric shapes are called the centers. The centers correlate to the 7 Hindu chakras, or if you're familiar with the chakra system, the centers correlate to the chakras, and I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit later in this presentation. Each one of these centers is essentially a body of information that you carry with you. So you have all of these 9 centers. These 9 centers, your 9 centers, are hardwired unique to you in a unique way that's unique only to you. The way in which these centers are configured, or the way in which your hardwiring or your electrical blueprint runs, influences the kind of information that you carry in these 9 energy centers. In human design, we talk a lot about how we relate to each other and the mechanics of how our energy works. When you look at your human design chart, you'll see some of these centers in your chart are going to be colored in. Some of them are going to be white. Things that are colored in, or centers that are colored in, we call defined. So anything that's in your chart that's colored in, we call it defined. Anything in your chart that's white, we call it open. So you might have geometric shapes on your chart that are white, and you might have some that are colored. The ones that are colored are defined. The ones that are white are open. Anything in our chart that's colored, anything that's defined, are aspects of our energy that we carry and source within ourselves that we have consistent access all the time. This is actually the energy that you have. It belongs to you, and it's the energy that you radiate out into the world. So when people bump into you and they feel you and they sense you and they interact with your energy, this is the energy that they get from you. This is actually your authentic being, the truth of who you are. Anything in your chart that's white or open is where you're taking energy and information in from others. So for example, if you look at this chart that's up on my screen right now, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a white triangle. On the far right-hand side is a big white triangle. That white triangle is called the emotional center. If you have that center white, and half of you will have it white, that means that you are empathic. You are emotionally empathic. You feel and sense other people's emotional energy. You take it in, and you don't just take it in, you take it in and you amplify it. That's how your energy works. If you have that triangle colored in, it will be brown, which means you have your own emotional energy, which you experience on a daily basis that comes from or is sourced from within your energy field. This becomes important to understand because we have a tendency to identify with our white centers. We have a tendency to think, because we experience a lot of variety, a lot of variability, and we experience in a very amplified way energy from the world outside of ourselves in our openness. This is how you get to know people. This is how you get to become wise about the world. But sometimes we get that energy confused, and our system gets hijacked by other people's energies, and we start to live out aspects of ourselves based on our experience of other people's energies, rather than living true to who we really are. When you learn your human design, or when you get a human design reading, or if you've been studying human design, one of the main goals of understanding your human design is to bring you back into integrity with your definition, or the energy that you carry consistently, so that you're not letting your life path, your decisions, your direction in life, who you really are, you're not letting that part of yourself be hijacked by other people's energies or the energies around you. In this program today, I'm going to be talking about the G center. That's the diamond in the middle of the chart. The G center is the energy center that is responsible for your sense of self, who you perceive yourself to be. Your identity and the energy of your identity is located in that G center, and the information for who you perceive yourself to be is in that G center. The G center is also the center that is responsible for the energy of love, and it is the energy in your chart that gives you a sense of direction. The way in which that center is configured is going to tell you a lot about how you find and lock onto your own inner sense of direction, and where you derive, or where you find your place and your center of direction, or your source of direction in your life. Now, half of you are going to have this center white. That's called an open G center, or an open identity center. Half of you are going to have the center colored in. The thing that's so important about this center is that this center truly is the source of direction, not only for yourself, but it tells the story of what we as human beings need to feel good and loved and accepted for who we are. And it tells us a lot about how we go about increasing our experience of love and acceptance in our life. And it shows us our ultimate goal, or our ultimate direction for humanity. And it shows us oftentimes what's the source of our own direction in life, our own personal individual lives. If I take the human design chart, which is basically a catalog of archetypes, that everything that's in this chart, this synthesis of all these ancient esoteric sciences, and this aspect that comes from quantum physics, if I took all the little parts of this chart, and there are a lot of parts in the chart, it actually takes me about 2 years to really train somebody to be able to fully read a human design chart. If I took all the pieces of the human design chart, if I threw it into a blender and I blended it up, what I would come out with are 9 core archetypes, or 9 resiliency keys that are crucial for you to master in order for you to experience the most meaning and joy and abundance and health and wellness in life. I call these the 9 resiliency keys. If you want to learn more about the 9 resiliency keys, you can visit my website, healingbyhumandesignSystem.com. I'll post the link in just a second. The G center is crucial as part of teaching us and showing us and helping us fully activate 4 of these 9 resiliency keys. So the G center is a source of our own sense of our lovability. It is a source of our energy that supports us in knowing how we can be decisive in the world. It is a source of energy that gives us, when we know how to work with this energy correctly, it roots us in courage. Think about it. It's part of the heart, right? So we oftentimes associate the heart with courage. So it's a place where we discover and find courage. And it is a place where literally the code, the authentic elements of who you are inscribed, and it gives us the energy to express ourselves in such a way that we can be authentic in our lives. If you are not living out the fullest expression of your authentic self, if you're not living aligned with the truth of who you are, you might find that it impacts your sense of lovability, your ability to make good and strong decisions for yourself, your courage, and it may even cause you to hide the truth of who you are in a hidden identity or behind a mask. So again, I'm not going to go into the 9 resiliency keys, which is a huge, huge part of the quantum alignment system. But if you want to learn more about the 9 resiliency keys, you can visit healingbyhumandesignSystem.com, and you can get a little bit more background on the 9 resiliency keys and particularly how they relate to human design. When you study human design, you'll notice, and especially if you study human design and the Hindu chakra system, you'll notice that there are 9 centers, not 7, in the human design chart. The G center and the will center, which is the little triangle just to the right of the G center, are both aspects of the Hindu chakra system. So when you, of the heart center in the Hindu chakra system. So if you're familiar with the Hindu chakra system and you know all about the heart chakra directly correlates to the energy of the G center, the diamond that we're going to be talking about today, and the will center. The most important thing that I want you to understand today about the G center is that it is the place where, when we live out the highest expression of our identity as it's configured in our unique charts, we live out the highest expression and potential for love and acceptance. Most importantly, self-love and self-acceptance. And the more we can calibrate our G center to the highest potential of the expression of self-love and acceptance, the more we can create abundantly in our life. And I'm going to spend the rest of our time talking about how to do that. Now, if you have an open identity center, if you look at your G center and it's white, what that means in traditional human design, this is especially what we teach, what that means is that you are taking, when you go out into the world, you're taking in other people's identities. That means you're taking in other people's expressions, other people's habits. You are not necessarily empathic, meaning you don't necessarily feel their feelings, but you feel the story of who they are, which means you oftentimes have a deep, deep insight into who other people are, why people are the way that they are. You feel, maybe you don't have the words, but you feel the stories of why they've cultivated the identities that they have. You're quite intuitive and aware of what makes people the expression of who they are out in the world. It's very easy if you're not careful, because the center is open. If you don't understand that when you go out in the world, you're feeling all the people around you. You're feeling the people in your classroom when you're a kid. You're feeling the energy of your teacher. You may be even feeling the energy of your parents, depending on how they're configured. And as you take that energy in, if you're not aware that that's other people's energies, other people's identities that you're experiencing, it's easy for you to get confused about who you think you are. Now, that makes it very easy for you to fit into groups. It makes you great at doing things like counseling people, or let's say you're some kind of a designer or an artist. You're able to really feel what people want and feel what people need and create something that best meets the needs for others. You really get people. You really get the essence of other people's identities. That's your wisdom. That's your gift. But because this center is also the center for direction, when you're out in the world taking in all these different energies from all these different people and jumping in and maybe not realizing that that's not your identity, that's somebody else's that you're experiencing, you can lose your own sense of direction about where you need to be taking your life, and maybe even get so caught up in somebody else's direction that you make big life choices and get caught up into the energy dynamics of someone else until you wake up one day and go, wait, this isn't my life. I'm living out somebody else's life, somebody else's identity. This does make you deeply sensitive and, to a certain degree, highly intuitive about other people. You are here when the center is open to be wise about love, to be wise about identities, and to be wise about others, because you can feel the essence of other people in the heart of your being. But because this center is also the center for love, when you have so much variability in how you experience this energy because it's open, it can leave you questioning your own lovability. And so oftentimes what we see if you have an open G center or an open identity center is that you tend to question your own lovability. And you may even find that you adapt your behavior or your choices in life to try to get or to try to make yourself seem more lovable to others. So you may co-opt what you need. You may repress or push aspects of yourself because you may be afraid they're not lovable parts of who you are. You may hide parts of yourself and not really show up fully in your own self-expression because you want so badly to be loved. There's an interesting thing that happens with this center when it's open. And it's kind of fun and kind of explains a lot for some of you if you have an open G. The open G center needs to be in the right geographical location with the right people. I call this geo-magnetic alignment. You have to be geo-magnetically aligned with your heart, meaning you got to be where you feel good. That means you got to be in the city you love, you got to be in the state you love, you've got to be in a house you love, you've got to be in a physical environment that feels good to you, because when you're in the right place, if you have an open G center, your sense of direction comes from your geography. So oftentimes what happens when you have an open G center, if you're out in your life and you're doing your life and you're feeling lost or confused, or it feels like you're stuck and nothing's really moving and you can't figure out why nothing's, I'm in dead space, if that's what it feels like to you sometimes. It might be that it's not you or that you're doing anything wrong or that there's something broken about you. It might simply be that you're not geomagnetically aligned, that you are not in the right place. Now, oftentimes people with open Gs will ask me, well, how do I find the right place? How do I know what the right place is? How do I get myself to the right place? And that's, I think, probably one of the most important questions you can be asking yourself if you have an open G, because right place really is the compass of your life. And by the way, right place can change. You might have been in the right place a few years ago, and then your energy needs changed, or you evolved, or your life path began to unfold, and then now the life that you're living is calling you to be in a different geographical location to continue the path that you're supposed to be on. A couple of things you can do to find the right place. Number one, if you get an astrology reading and get an astrocartography reading, meaning you get an astrologer to really look at your energy and line your energy up with the ley lines on the planet, that is a very powerful way to at least give you a sense of where you possibly might need to be. That is a good way. So astrocartography is a really great way to get yourself geomagnetically aligned. It's not the only way though, and I want to just throw a little bit of a caveat out for you here. You really do have to go and feel the place that you think you need to be. And I say that because over the years, I've seen a lot of people who have gotten a hunch or an intuitive hit, like, oh, I need to move to Austin, Texas, or I need to move to Asheville, or I need to move to Seattle, or wherever the inspiration may be for you. And then I've seen people just pick up and go. And what happens is sometimes when you get there and you really feel the place, even though the astrology might be right and the reports might be right, it might not be the right place at the right time. So this is the second part of how do you get yourself geomagnetically aligned. Go to the place you think you should be. Go feel your way to where you need to be. You need to actually put yourself in the physical environment that you think you're locating yourself to, so that you can really sense and be present to that energy and make sure it is indeed actually the right place. It has to feel like home. Okay? If you can't leave your geography, and sometimes you can't, sometimes there's circumstances that make it impossible to leave, do your best to make your home environment to feel really good for you. That means if you have an open G, you need to be able to move your furniture in the way that feels good, put your bed in the position that feels good. Make sure that your physical environment really nurtures the heart of who you are, and that when you come home, you feel like you're home. And if you can't create that in your physical home, maybe if it's possible, see if you can move homes, because that sometimes can fix the situation. I have to tell you this kind of an interesting story. My mother has an open G center, and my father was worked for the State Department when I was growing up, and so we moved every 2 years, sometimes even more frequently. And that was, I think, very, very difficult for my mother's open G. And one of the things that she would do, and she actually still does this today, is whenever I would go to school and I would come home, and I will have found that while I was away at school, she had spent the entire day rearranging the house. She would constantly be rearranging the furniture in the house. So I literally would come home sometimes and have a totally different bedroom. Like she would have switched out the bedrooms and I would now have a new bedroom, or she would be constantly moving the furniture in the living room or rearranging the kitchen. And I really think now in hindsight, recognizing that she had an open G, that because she obviously couldn't change our geo-magnetic alignment, we had to live where my dad was, but I think part of her restlessness or her sense of, oh, this doesn't feel right, you know, she would try to arrange the furniture as a way of kind of trying to stabilize that inner restlessness about the geography and these perpetual geographic shifts that we had to make. It's interesting now, just as a weird aside, she and my dad have a beach house and a house in Houston, Texas. And they travel back and forth between these two houses halfway, like every 3 days they move houses. They go on this 3-hour drive and move houses. And I still wonder if that's not my mother's attempt to manage her geomagnetic alignment. So anyway, right place. You have an open G, right place is hugely important to you. So let's just go back and review this really quickly. Lovability and questioning your lovability for the open G center can sometimes be an issue. You need to be in the right place with the right people. You need to be aware that you are deeply sensitive. You feel and sense people and you take them in on a deep level. I even find sometimes people with an open G can feel animal energy, and animals will carry the same energy as well. And actually most animals will have an open G center too. So they feel and sense you, and they know what you need and want oftentimes. And of course, if you have an open G center, you're here to be wise about love and identity. If you have a defined G center, it's a little different because you have a much more fixed or consistent sense of who you are and who you are to be in the world. In fact, sometimes that sense of self is so strong and so powerful, it can really make you feel like you're here for a purpose, you're here for a reason, you have a mission. And if you haven't fully activated that mission in your life, if you're struggling to figure out, how do I express myself? How do I live my purpose? How can I align my life with my life purpose? That can be a deeply troubling energy for someone with a defined G. The open G tends to struggle more with lovability. If you have a defined G, especially if you have a channel, one of these lines that is colored in, that makes a direct connection between the diamond and the throat center, the square at the throat. You have a direct connection between the diamond and the G center and the throat center. You are exceptionally vulnerable to criticism. And often, I call this the turtle configuration. If you've ever been criticized for expressing yourself or your truth, you speak from the heart of who you are when you have that kind of a configuration. If you've ever been criticized, it sometimes will cause you to really hide yourself because you are afraid, or you can become afraid that I am not accepted for who I am. It's not acceptable to be who I am. I'm not pointing these lower aspects out because I want you to go, you know, be stuck in this pain. I just want to show you how sometimes our configurations, our hardwirings, make us more vulnerable to carrying certain kinds of wounds. And certainly being aware and being conscious and understanding your own hardwiring, and I think frankly even working with these sometimes these wounds, using the emotional freedom techniques, using subtle body therapies such as essential oils and flower essences, and getting integrated coaching, make a huge difference for you changing the story and the dynamic of the story that you may be living that might be keeping you from fully expressing the beauty and the magnificence of the heart of who you are. Now, it gets a little bit more weird than just what I talked about before. We just covered the more traditional aspects of human design. What I'm going to teach you next is also traditional human design, but it's some of the more, dare I say, woo-woo aspects of human design. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of the story of the parts of who you are. And if you've never heard this information before, you're in for a real treat because it might explain a lot to you. I think it's some of the cooler bits of information in the human design system, but it is a little bit more off into the esoteric deep end, so buckle up. When we look at your human design chart, and we look at your chart as being the map for your life story, there are three key parts in this story that contribute to you being the once-in-a-lifetime event that you are. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of how you came to be you. And the title of the story is called Your Crystalline Template and Your Human Design. At the moment of your conception, which in human design actually happens 8 hours before your parents actually got together, your father's energy calls forth what's called a design crystal. The design crystal is a collection of archetypes, energies that are bundled together and actually reside in the earth. Now, you can't go find a design crystal. You don't have to go dig for one. You won't find one. If we did an autopsy on a body, you wouldn't find the design crystal. This is a frequency of energy, all right? This design crystal energy, which is called forth at the moment of your conception, manifests or contains the code for your life story and your life purpose. It also contains the code for your physical body and your epigenetic programming. If you are familiar with the work of conscious evolution or the work of Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, what this is the morphogenetic code. This is the energy template for who you're going to be in this incarnation, the story of your life in this incarnation. This is the archetype of your human story that you're going to be occupying, that your soul is going to eventually take residence in. This morphogenetic code actually controls how your body develops as you grow inside your mother's womb. It controls how you look, your physical body. It even controls the certain fixed or more destined aspects of your life story. At the same time, and bundled together actually with this design crystal or this body of information that is the code for your life, your energy field also calls forth what's called a magnetic monopole. You actually pull this powerful magnet into your physical body at the same time as the design crystal is called forth. So your design crystal is bundled with this magnetic monopole. This magnetic monopole is a magnet. It's a magnet that has one pole, monopole, and that pole actually only attracts. Now, we've taught this information in human design for years and years and years since the very beginning of the human design system. And at the beginning, when we first started teaching about magnetic monopoles, scientists actually hadn't discovered them yet. I do want to let you know that in the last few years, scientists have actually discovered that there are monopole magnets. They are a thing now. And what we know is that the magnetic monopole that you have a magnetic monopole, it actually takes up residency as your body finishes its development in your heart center, most specifically in the G center. So the monopole, when you are born, you have a magnetic monopole in your heart, meaning you have a magnetic resonance field in your heart center that only attracts. So if you've ever said, and I've heard people say this before, I keep repelling good things. I keep repelling good men. I keep repelling money. You don't repel. You can't repel. That's the wrong end of the magnet that you don't have. You only attract. We are attractive beings, and we operate in our lives. We attract things into our lives. And here's the cool part. You can actually calibrate that magnet You calibrate that magnet by living out the highest expression of the energies in your G center. Don't panic, because I'm going to give you more information about that in a minute. Now, as you continue to develop, the monopole takes up resonance in the heart. Your design crystal, the story of who you are in this incarnation, takes up resonance in the ajna center, which I'm not going to talk about today. And at the moment of your birth, your soul, which has an intention when it brings your body forth at this lifetime, your soul has a purpose in being here too. At the moment that you are born, your soul drops into your head center. That's the triangle at the top. That head center, the personality crystal is what it's called. The personality crystal actually carries the code for your soul purpose. So you are basically a marriage between a life purpose, a soul purpose, and you have a magnet in your heart that holds the whole story together and controls what you bring into your experience. And it controls to a certain degree what kinds of experiences you have that will facilitate for your soul and your life purpose the story and the unfolding of the story of your life. Now, a couple of quick facts about the magnetic monopole. As I said, it only attracts. It is a unifying energy, meaning it holds things together. And I think it's really notable to note that the heart center is the unifying energy, meaning we are by design as a species, not just individually, but as a species, we are unified with our hearts. And in fact, when you look at some of the work that the Institute for Heart Math has done, one of the things that we know is that heartbeats and hearts actually syncopate. And when you are together in a room, the people in the room will create a collaborative syncopated heart rhythm. And not only that, when you are consciously sending energy from your heart to someone, even on the other end of the globe, on the other side of the globe, scientists can actually measure that change, that phenomenon that happens when you consciously connect your heart to someone else who isn't even anywhere near you geographically. That's how powerfully unifying the electrical resonance, the magnetic resonance of the heart is. Your heart and your G center and your magnetic monopole align you with your life path and your earth story. And scientists will eventually discover, this is a theory, that a magnetic monopole is responsible for gravity. So I'm betting on that. It hasn't happened yet, but I bet it's going to happen. When we look at the geomagnetic pulse of the earth, it looks like this. If we measure the magnetic resonance field of the heart, it looks like this. Notice that they look kind of similar, yes? Da-da, da-da. As I said, the third part of this story of who you are, the personality crystal, contains your soul purpose. When we put all of this together in the chart, just so that you know what that looks like, the black part of your chart, called the personality or the conscious part of your chart, is actually the code for your soul's purpose. The design crystal, the unconscious part of your chart, is actually the code for your life purpose. The marriage of your soul purpose and your life purpose, this combination of these two energies makes you, I want you to really get this, makes you a once in a cosmic lifetime event. And I want to thank you because you hold a unique place in this cosmos. And we are all the tapestry of who we are. We are all who we are because you are who you are. So thank you. Now we're going to talk about the third aspect of the G center, the magnetics of heart resonance, and why working with these energies are so crucial to you creating not only love and acceptance, or self-love and self-acceptance, and not only for you finding your direction in life, the source of your capacity to deliberately create and craft a life lies in the heart of who you are. When we look at how we create or how we manifest, in fact, over the past couple of months, I've been posting articles about the mechanics of manifesting. I actually have 2 more lessons for you that I'll be sharing with you over the next couple of weeks. The mechanics of manifesting are this. We are designed through the questioning, awe-inspired, imaginative possibility thinking of our brilliant minds. We are designed to ask questions about life, about what we want to create in our life. It's through our questioning that we tap into possibilities in the quantum field. While we are waiting for the answers to our questions to show up, we use the power of our mind, the power of our imagination, to actually stimulate an emotional response. When you imagine things, if I say to you, imagine money, okay? When you imagine money, that actually creates a photon storm in your brain. That photon storm causes your brain, triggers your brain to create neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters in turn then actually stimulate a specific emotional response. That emotional response in turn then creates a response in the heart. And of course, because we now know that the heart contains a magnet that attracts experiences and opportunities into your life, that emotional response is actually responsible for calibrating the magnet in your heart and will influence ultimately what you attract into your life experience. Remember I said, by the way, the G center and the will center are part of the heart chakra. I'm just putting that there because I want you to remember this G center is part of the heart. Your inspirations calibrate your emotions, which calibrates your heart, which calibrates your monopole. So here's how it all works. Let's lay it out again just so you get this. Your head and your ajna stimulate your imagination and possibility thinking, which in turn then stimulates your emotional solar plexus, which carries a frequency of energy that's in alignment with the meanings you give your imaginative inspirations, which then aligns with your sense of self-worth and lovability, which then calibrates your magnetic monopole to attract into your life things that are in alignment with the frequency of the energy you are holding. And then you attract things in your physical world, which you respond to with your root center, your sacral, or your spleen. So we think, we get inspired, we think, we imagine, we have feelings, our heart expands, we calibrate the magnet in our heart. It pulls into our physical experience answers to the things we are inspired around. We look at our physical reality. We look at what's going on in the world around us. We see what we like as a result of our inspiration. We respond to it. We react to it. We ask bigger questions like, how can I get more of that? And then we create this whole cycle again. Or we looked at it and we go, ooh, I don't like that. What else can I have? We ask a different set of questions and we create it all over again. This is an incredibly fast, short introduction to the mechanics of how you create. The most important piece that I want you to get out of this is number one. Well, it's not one. There's not one most important piece. There's a couple most important pieces. Number one, the quantum purpose of your G center, of your heart, is to give direction to love, sustainability, leadership, release, empowerment, spirit, embodiment, natural order, compassion, and peace. Okay? When you are living out the highest expression of these energies, you then hold the magnetic resonance of these energies in your field, which calibrates your monopole, which then helps you create these energies in your life. That's the quantum purpose. Now, obviously, our human journey is a little more complicated, okay? There are 8 channels to really open up and activate your heart to bring your G center into the highest frequency or the highest resonance possible to help you create what you really want to be creating in your life. So let's look at the different channels, the different possibilities of how we open up the heart in the human experience. So if you have your human design chart, now would be a really great time to get it out and look at it. If you have any of these channels colored in or any of these gates colored in, as I go around, I'm going to kind of go around this whole center clockwise as I'm going around these gates. If you have any of these colored in, and they can be black, they can be red, or they can be black and red. If you have these energies colored in, it means that that particular channel that I'm going to be talking about might be more of a of a consistent way for you to go, for you to activate your heart. So your definition, the gates that you have activated here, are actually going to help you understand what is your most natural path to awakening or opening your heart. So when we look at the G center, and remember again, just a quick review, this is the center for love and direction. The energies here help you open up and calibrate your monopole so that you can attract into your life the highest potential expression and experiences and opportunities related to these energies. Let's start first with the gate 10, which is the gate on the left-hand side of the diamond here. We are designed to attract experiences in our lives that reflect back to us the quantity and the quality of love that we have for ourselves. If you love yourself, then you will bring into your reality, your monopole will attract experiences and opportunities that reflect that self-love. Your relationships will reflect self-love. Your opportunities will reflect self-love. If self-love isn't your greatest strength, then one of the things that's crucial for you to really tap into is cultivating a greater sense of self-love so that you can increase the frequency of the energy of self-love in your heart so that you can change the nature of what you attract into your life. So one of the things that you can do if you're working with this energy is really look at what do you love about yourself. You can, remember, we're stimulating the heart. Remember, we stimulate the heart by using our minds to imagine, to hold visions of, to engage in possibilities. This is obviously not the only thing you're going to do. If I could just say to people, love yourself. Oh, you don't love yourself? Well, then go imagine it. Poof, you're healed. If I could fix it like that, I'd be, I'd be having a really amazing life. I have a really amazing life anyway, but learning to love yourself is not as simple as just imagining it, but it's a good first step. And it's certainly a step that allows us to open up to the possibility of opening our hearts. So you can go into your imagination and just sit down, take 5 minutes if you haven't done this ever. Take 5 minutes, sit down and think about, okay, what do I love about myself? I love my consistency. I love my laugh. I love that I'm a good friend. Whatever it might be for you, sit down for a few minutes and think about what you love about yourself. The idea and the possibility and the energy of self-love actually is one of the channels that opens up the heart and calibrates that monopole so that you can begin to attract more loving experiences into your reality. If that energy is defined for you, that means you have an extra special task in your life to really focus on the importance of self-love. If that energy is white, if you don't have this gate colored in on your chart, it doesn't mean that you don't have to love yourself. You don't get a quick pass on that. You still have to love yourself. It just might mean that you have more variability in the pathways that you can take to opening up your heart. If you look at the gate 7 here, the gate 7 is an energy that's about empowerment, being powerful and having voice or having the capacity to choose what you create in your life, and certainly having a voice over how you are governed and led in your life. The voice of the gate 7 says, I decide, I choose. And dropping into a space of, again, using your imagination to sit back and go, okay, well, if I could decide whatever I wanted to decide, or if I could choose whatever I wanted to choose, going on an imaginative journey to stimulate the emotional energy around the phrases, I decide, I choose, or feeling empowered is a key channel to opening up the heart. And again, bringing into your life experiences, empowered opportunities. The gate 1, which comes off the top point of the G center, is the gate of self-expression. Now, I have to take a little pause here and say this. This is an incredibly creative energy, and it is an energy that has the capacity to change the world. When you have this energy, And we all have it. Some of us have it colored in, some of us have it white, but we all have it, just like you all have the entire human genome. You might have blue eyes and not every spectrum of the rainbow eyes, but you do have within you all of the potentials of all different kinds of eye colors. You're just expressing certain genes. We have all of the human design chart. Everybody has all of the chart. It's just that some of us express different aspects of the chart differently. If you have the gate 1 colored in, it means that you might feel a real push, a very outward push to really need to live or find your life purpose. This is a design of somebody who is extra mission driven. It doesn't mean if you don't have this colored in that you don't have a purpose, and it doesn't mean you don't have a mission if you don't have this colored in. But if you have this colored in, you might really find that there's almost an anxiety in you about, I got to live my purpose. I got to do my purpose. I got to live my purpose. I got to do my purpose. And a sense of failing if you're not living your purpose. What I'm going to tell you next is true for every single one of you, whether you have this colored in or not. Your life purpose is not about doing. The energy for purpose and the energy for contribution to the world is in the G center in all kinds of different ways. And one of the most important things for you to understand is that your existence, the fact that you exist, is your purpose. And your big life purpose is not only about being compassionate and doing good things in the world. It's most importantly about you being the full expression of who you are. You are the contribution you're here to make to the world. It's not what you do. You are the contribution. And your greatest obligation, I believe, as a human, is to fulfill the highest potential expression of the truth of who you are. And that path, by the way, of self-expression, of you being completely aligned with the truth of who you are, is one of the paths to opening up your heart. In the next gate over, the gate 13, we see that we are designed to use the stories of who we perceive ourselves to be as part of our identity and ultimately as part of our direction. What that means is that you have the capacity to change the story of who you think you are. You have the capacity to change the story of your past and to not get stuck in stories that hold you back, that keep your identity smaller than what it should be. You have the power ultimately to tell your own story and to do your forgiveness work so that you're not stuck in stories from the past. You have the power to tell a new story about who you think you are each and every day. And when you let go of the past and rewrite your story in a way that is empowering and honoring and loving of the truth of who you are, then you open up your heart and you calibrate your heart, your monopole, to begin to attract into your life a new story, a different story, hopefully an even better story. What we see in the next gate, the gate 25, which is sort of pointing down on the right-hand side of the G center, the gate 25 is all about being connected to spirit as source and being in a position of service to something greater than who you are individually. We are designed to take an element of our life path and our life direction from source and from our connection to source. But sometimes in the low expression of this energy, we lose our trust of source, especially when the unexpected events rock our lives and we don't know where to put our foot down next or what to do next, or we lose our trust because it feels like the rug got pulled out from under us. When you move into a space or an energy of trusting source and establishing a deep connection with spirit as part of your guiding force for your direction in your life path, it's actually natural, it's actually human, then you calibrate your monopole to bring in or to pull into your experience opportunities that support you in deriving your direction from spirit as source. In gate 46, pointing now to the bottom 3 gates here, gate 46 on the bottom right is vitality and embodiment. We are designed to make choices in our life that keep us physically vital and dynamic. The more we love our body and the more we celebrate and honor our body, the more we calibrate the monopole to bring in powerful, positive experiences of our embodied form. and powerful positive experiences that keep us physically vital and dynamic. Oftentimes what happens with this energy is when people are burned out and exhausted, or if you've lost connection with your physical body, you're kind of out of your body, or you're dreaming, or you're not grounded, or you're not really present to the physicality, the embodiment of your spirit and form. If you are struggling with being connected to that body, or certainly struggling with being connected to your vitality, because you're designed to be vital, you oftentimes can be blocking or not attracting, not necessarily blocking, but not attracting greater opportunities, because your body and your monopole knows that you don't need any more new opportunities. You're already tired. You're already disconnected from your body. You're already not experiencing vitality. Why would you get more experiences if you're too tired to take care of the ones you've already got? So taking care of your body and restoring your vitality and handling burnout, which is a whole nother program that I teach, which is a crucial, crucial program, because I think honestly, most of us are burned out on some level. If you're not handling burnout and tapping into vitality, your monopole is going to be limited in what it creates in your reality, because it knows you need to rest, and it's really trying to manifest for you opportunities for rest. The gate 2 says, you are designed to receive all the support you need by virtue of your existence, not by what you do, okay? But because you exist, you are designed to receive all the resources you need to fulfill your life purpose. When we do not allow, and when we are not grateful and gratitude and allowing our pathways to opening up the heart and pathways to calibrating the heart center and the monopole, when we do not allow and when we aren't experiencing gratitude, we actually stop attracting, or we attract opportunities that we don't feel grateful for. And we don't want that, right? All right. So I just want to put this out here. The energy for receiving support, and that means support of every kind, including finances, is not really tied to work. We are designed to be supported because we exist. But we really get that kind of twisted in the Western world, okay? You are designed to be supported because you exist, because your existence is so precious. It's worthy of being supported. Let's rewrite that program, all right? Last but not least, the last path to activating and opening the heart energy, and the energy you need to really be paying attention to increase the frequency of the quality of what you're attracting into your life, is the gate 15 brings us the energy for compassion. We are designed to be compassionate, and the energy of compassion is an energy that activates and opens the heart center. In fact, I find that all of my clients have no problems with being compassionate. That's the easiest, most accessible path to heart awareness. It's oftentimes difficult to be compassionate towards yourself, to be self-loving, to feel self-empowered, to be expressing yourself, to be defining the story of who you think you are in such a way that's, you know, it's a good story, it's a great story, it's a powerful story. We sometimes find it hard to trust source. We sometimes find it hard to trust our bodies. We even sometimes find it hard to be grateful. But I find that very few people have a hard time being compassionate. It seems to be the easiest path to opening up the heart, that it's very easy to imagine giving and loving other people. Maybe not always ourselves, but really easy for us to imagine doing it for others. So I hope that in this little conversation, we can at least create a little bit of openings to the possibility of you taking that compassion that you so easily and readily offer others and turning it around and pointing it back at yourself as well. All right, so here's some things to think about. Your heart is a powerful, resonant, magnetic field. The energy of your heart and the status of those energies in your G center calibrate the magnetic monopole and influence what you attract into your life. You might not be using the full power of your heart if you feel confused about your life purpose and your life direction. If you feel nervous or even paralyzed about making decisions in your life. If fear or anxiety is keeping you from doing what you really want to be doing. if you're not being authentic or you're compromising who you are or what you want in life. If you don't feel like it's okay to be yourself in life, you may not be tapping into the full power of your heart. If you question your value or your lovability, you might not be using the full power of your heart. I just want to say that if any of this rings true for you, I really want to invite you into a personal dialogue with yourself, and even a personal dialogue with your human design chart, about what you need to do to amp up those energies around your G center. What do you need to do to love yourself better? What do you need to do to feel more empowered? What do you need to do to move more close to expressing the authentic nature and the truth of who you are? What do you need to do to rewrite stories that may be keeping you stuck in the past, that aren't serving you anymore? What do you need to do to deepen your connection to source? What do you need to do to take better care of your body so you can tap into your vitality in a much more expansive way? What do you need to do to really allow yourself to receive more support and to express gratitude for everything that you're already receiving right now? And what do you need to do to drop more deeply into the energy of compassion? Because if you can do those things, then you can move past these points, these places where you might be stuck, these places that might be keeping you from really tapping into the full power of your G center and the full power of the heart of who you are. I am teaching a brand new workshop on Sunday, February the 25th. It's an all-day workshop called the Quantum Heart Activation. And the intention of this workshop is actually to help you fully activate the power of your heart. In this training, you're going to learn the 8 pathways to the heart and how to use these energies to tap into the power of your heart. You're going to learn about your unique hardwiring, how your chart is configured, and how that influences the way that you tap into your heart. We're going to talk about the physiology of the heart and how to increase your heart's coherence and your physical health and well-being. We're going to talk about how to align your heart and use it to create a powerful resonance field that increases your ability to attract what you want and need into your life. And we're going to talk about crafting a daily plan that helps you stay in your heart so that you can be resilient and fundamentally creative no matter what's going on in your life. I believe in the power of the heart, and I have witnessed in my clients and certainly my own life the importance of calibrating this G center and the heart of who you are so much. I mean, it is literally, if I can get everybody to have a breakthrough around this thing, everything else starts to click into place in your life. That I am not willing to put a set fixed tuition on this workshop. I want anybody and everybody that feels called to be a part of this program to join me for an all-day online intensive where we're going to really go through activating the energies of the heart. I want you there if you feel like you need to be there. I'll let you decide what tuition you think is right for you. I'm going to give you a webpage link. I'm actually going to post it below. I'll post it in the chat on the webinar. So if you're attending the webinar and you're not on Facebook, you can click on the link, go to the webpage, get yourself registered so you can get started with this program. I'm going to give you a special fast action bonus. If you register for the Quantum Heart Activation all-day intensive training on Sunday, February the 25th, where we're going to go through all of these energies and we're going to use an integrated approach to how you can activate your heart so that you can leverage your capacity to tap into the quantum field, to start deliberately creating something different in your life, bypass and rewrite and rewire some of your conditioning, and use augmented techniques to stabilize your energy field while you continue to make these changes and do your clearings. If you register before Monday, on Monday or Tuesday, we're still working out the details. On Monday or Tuesday of next week, we're actually hosting Lynn McTaggart, author of The Extension Experiment, and her new book, Super 8. We're going to be hosting Lynn McTaggart and Howard Martin, one of the founders of the Heart Math Institute. They're coming together for a 1-hour debate. And they're going to be debating live, and you will be invited to this live debate. And it's a very private event. This is actually only for my Quantum Alignment Program members, but you'll get to come if you register before Monday. In this debate, they're going to be talking about heart coherence and how do we create in the world Howard says we don't have to have intentions. We just have to stay in a strong heart frequency of energy. Lynn McTaggart says, no, intentions rule the day. We have to go into the creative process with intentions. So they're going to duke it out in the most geeky, nerdy, scientific way possible. And they're going to duke it out in this 1 hour seminar together. And if you register before Monday for the Quantum Heart Activation Program, you can get a ringside seat at this debate and be with us live on the webinar. So that is all I have for you today for the Quantum Alignment Show. I am open to questions and any comments or anything anybody wants to share. Cindy, do we have questions or comments?
We had some comments come in. So I posted, there is Elizabeth said, I have the channel 46 defined. I'm disabled. I know I was burned out. I'm still energized and exhausted by turns. What is the burnout repair class? And how do I begin to repair burnout?
We have a burnout repair class called Bounce Back from Burnout. And here's the thing that I'm going to tell you about burnout. The first thing about burnout in terms of repairing burnout, there's two parts to burnout. Number one is repair, and number two is realignment. The first thing I'm going to say for you, Elizabeth, is the most important part of burnout and healing burnout is, and nobody likes this one, but it's sleep and rest. And we hate it because we think, oh, it's going to take forever. And sometimes it does. It takes like sometimes up to a year and even more to heal the adrenals. And really, there's no way around healing the adrenals except sleep. You have to get good, high quality sleep for a long period of time, meaning sometimes for 6 months to a year. So that would be step one. So I don't know if you're there yet, but that would be the first step. The second step is, and there are other medical things that we could talk about, and certainly in the Bounce Back to Burnout program, we talk about accessing good medical support, because sometimes we need like to see a functional medicine specialist, somebody who can really look at you individually and not apply a formula to you and go, okay, what's going on with your adrenals? What's going on with all the rest of your system? How can we really recalibrate your system so that you're reconnected with your vitality? And let me just add this piece about vitality. I deliberately use the word vitality because vitality is about you being present to where your body is right now. As you said, you're disabled. Sometimes we have other chronic situations and challenges that are going on. And it is possible to tap into vitality without completely healing, okay? Sometimes that's not where you're at yet. And that may not be ever where some of us are at. Some of us may always have, physical challenges that we have to deal with, but that doesn't mean you can't tap into vitality, which is the full expression of life force in the body that you have. So sleep and rest first, Elizabeth. Then the second thing is you have to make sure that you're creating in alignment with your human design, which means you really have to be living true to your type and your strategy and your authority. And so before you do a burnout class, I would say give yourself time to really deepen your awareness and understanding of your human design and practice experiment living true to your type first. So.
She does say, definitely need help finding a functional medical ally. Sleep is deeply disrupted. So there was I'll get to the question in there. These are on Facebook. Cosmic Campbell said, I'm just now aligning with the right altitudes. I didn't understand the depth and word form until now. My heart desire to feel fulfilled, and that is what's missing. Between Malibu or Sedona, what if you feel your G might be in two places? That's the question.
I don't think I think that's a great question. And I think it's very possible that could happen. As I said, my parents they go back and forth between two houses. Half the week they're in one house and half the week they're in another house. I think that's nuts, but I have a defined G. I would say, is there a way to structure your life to where you can be in both places? Can you have in the winter, I'm here, and in the summer, I'm here? Is there a way for you to structure your lifestyle so that you can incorporate both places into your lifestyle? That would be my suggestion for you.
Elizabeth also said she was new to human design, and that's one of the bonuses that you included in this is the introduction to human design.
Yes.
Alice Zimmerman says, I've noticed some with an open G have their empathy be obscured due to their defined emotional center. In other words, they're ruled by their emotions.
So here's how this sometimes plays out, because you have this open G, right? And you feel everybody, and you feel the story of who they are, and you feel, you know, this deep awareness of others. And then you have, if you have a defined emotional solar plexus, that's the big brown triangle on the right-hand side of the chart, then you have all these emotions. And it's not so much that it obscures necessarily your sense of how you experience other people, but it then triggers this deep emotional response to your experience of other people. So it might mean that on some days, because emotional energy has a lot of variability to it, that the compassion that you experience, the emotional aspects of compassion that you experience in response to maybe the pain you sense in someone, really sweeps you away and breaks your heart sometimes, because it can, right? It can be heartbreaking when you feel some of people's deeper stories. Or it might be that on some days you feel somebody's story and you're so in your own story that you can't really follow what you need to follow into somebody else's story. I don't know if obscure would be the exact word that I would use, but I would certainly say it can influence your experience of other people in your G.
We've been going over an hour. I see there's a couple questions in the Zoom webinar chat, and just I see one more question on the Facebook. Did you want to take all those, or?
So I will just say this to Latin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right correctly. If your G center is all the way open, it means you are completely open to experience all of those energies in an unlimited way. And ultimately, part of your chart is about becoming deeply wise about all of those energies. And then Vincent says, I'm going to answer this chat one and I'll take one more from Facebook. If someone only has a heart defined, but not the center itself, sorry, has a heart gate defined, but not the center itself, does it make it harder or less effective to focus on that gate frequency? I would say it's interesting, and you may want to experiment with this. When you have a center open and then it has a gate defined on it, it kind of acts like a funnel. So if you can imagine, a funnel has a big mouth and then it has like the little tiny, you know, tube, right, that everything else flows through. It's sort of like all the energy goes into the mouth of the funnel, or all the energy goes into that open center, and then it pushes out through that defined gate. So you may actually experience that defined gate energy quite intensely. That sort of becomes the theme of your G center. So you may have the ability to tap into that in a really big and expansive way, or you might feel, because you can take in so many other energies, you might feel a lot of different potentials. But my guess would be that you really feel that gate very intensely because of that configuration. So use that gate as your most preferred path to heart opening. So do we have one more question on Facebook, Cindy?
Yes. First, Erica said self-projected projector here, and so she's loved this session. Very needed. Thank you. And the question is from Katie. She says, do you have advice for a single parent of a teenager? She's a divine G. He's an emotional manifester. She has splenic. Okay. They must
hold on.
Okay.
Open G.
Open G, emotional manifester, and a splenic projector. She's the splenic projector.
So the parent is the projector, the child is the manifester. Is that correct?
That's the way I'm reading it, yes.
And the child has an open G and she has a defined G?
That is correct.
Okay, so here's what happens with children with open G centers, and this is especially important, and I would say crucial for you to be mindful of as a parent of a teen. Children with open G centers can oftentimes get swept up into their peer groups and get swept up into the energy of the people they're hanging out with. Peer pressure can become a big thing especially for teenagers with open Gs. So the first thing I would say for you for sure is watch your child's social group. Really, like, be the covert but always present presence, meaning you drive the child or you drive the kids, or you be the ride or the person doing the driving. Keep your ears open. You kind of want to be a spy, so to speak, as a parent. Not in a, you don't want to be too spy-y because you have a manifestor child. So they're going to be very sensitive to your potential of coming in and controlling. And certainly the dynamic between manifestor child and projector parent can sometimes feel to the manifestor child as if it's controlling, even if you're not being controlling. It's just the dynamic of how that plays out, particularly during adolescence. So I would say watch who he's hanging with. Be mindful of who he's, even online, like who he's hanging with, because that has the potential to really influence him. Make sure he's in the right place. You want to make sure he feels good in his bedroom, or he's in the right bedroom, or even in school, if he's in the right school. Right places becomes really important to him, and certainly helping him tune in to right place is really crucial. So making sure he's in the right place, watch his peer group. And then for your son, you can't guide a manifestor with questioning. You want to guide a manifestor with suggestions. And you really, the most important thing you want to work on with him is making sure he's informing, because he really needs to be mastering informing at this stage of the game. So constantly working with him and say, I'm wondering what you're up to today. I'm wondering what your plan is. Don't ask him questions, because you can't ask an open sacral being questions. You have to make open-ended suggestive statements like, I'm wondering what you're up to today, or tell me about what you're doing today, or use a suggestive statement, not a question, and then remind him that he needs to be informing if he's not informing. He may forget in his creative flow. Here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. In February, we are going to be all focusing on relationships and talking about relationships. Kristen Shorter, who is one of the members of my team and an incredible parenting expert, is actually going to be teaching programs about parenting. She's actually right now, just this week, started running a series of informative emails about parenting and parenting tips. So if you would, my beautiful projector mom, post your name here and just say, or actually, you know what, send me an email, Karen@joyfulmission.com, and put in the subject line, attention Kristen, and tell Kristen you want to learn about the parenting information, because she'll have a lot of stuff that she can give you and get you started with if you have questions. And she's fabulous, fabulous. So good. All right. So I just want to thank you all for, as I said, being that unique once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event that you are. We are who we are because you are who you are. I want to honor the heart of who you are, and I really want to encourage you and celebrate you to be the full expression of the truth of who you are, and use the power of your heart to drop into that place of self-awareness, self-love, self-empowerment, and be the full expression of who you really are. You deserve it, and we need you to be who you are. Thank you, Cindy, as always, for being my wing woman and for pulling all of this together and making this all work so beautifully. Thank you all for joining me, and I will talk to you next week. And next week, we will continue our conversations about heart and love and the mechanics of manifesting and how you can use your heart to create what you really want to be creating in your life. Have a great weekend.